Good morning. Welcome to day 15 of Momo strategy in the sim. You just check everything's all right here. I changed a few things around. Looks all right. But the biggest change today, for those who haven't watched my recap yesterday, is that I'm changing my simulated account size to $2,000, and my position sizing and scaling is also going to change to be closer to Ross's current position management strategy and risk strategy. So double check my keybinds here. So until we make $15 on the day, which is 20 cents on 75 shares being a quarter of my max position sizing of 300 shares for the $3 to $7 range. We reach 15 bucks and we're trading with quarter size, which is 75 shares. At that point, we can start scaling into full position size. What I'm likely going to do is I'm going to buy 75, and if things are going well, I might add another 75 to half size. But if not, then it'll remain 75. And once I can scale up to full size, then I can enter the position with half size and I can double buy to full size if the trade is going well. So both scaling and starting the day with quarter position with a lower goal before I can size up. That's the plan. So my keybinds are load 75, load 150, buy 75, buy 150, buy 25, buy 50. I also got rid of the profit target keybinds on my numpad for specific prices because when I looked at my Trade Zero platform, I realized that it doesn't allow me to do that. So I'm going to be using the crude method of just taking my profits quickly on the ask as it pops up, or I do have profit targets shift 1 through shift 5 for 10 cents or 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, 50 cents above the ask. I don't like it quite as much. It's a bit less accurate, but we have to get used to making do with Trade Zero. After my broker research, I realized that I can't trade with Lightspeed, can't trade with any other US brokers. They literally don't allow any Canadians at all because of our regulatory requirements. Looks like the S&P 500 gap down this morning, as it usually does, because oil's going back up a little bit because things are not going very smoothly in the Middle East. And there's always news on the weekend for some reason. Let's see what we have today. We have PBM. It's a bit too expensive here. Low VWAP. Not really interested in this right now. All the other ones are penny stocks or higher floats. BBGI is continuation, but it's too high priced now. Made a nice move during regular hours from 14 up to 26. PBM is continuation as well, it looks like, from the other day. but BNBX popping up here. So this would be a stock that if I were to trade it, I would be trading it for my experiment, trading penny stocks, and I wouldn't be including it in my metrics. Looks like it's just selling off though. So 7:02, we don't get any news, then it's not really anything I'm interested this morning. I mentioned during my last stream that I was considering going live with real money at the beginning of May, which is in 2 weeks. So we'll see how I do with this new position sizing strategy. And if it goes well, then perhaps we'll have one more intermission before we go live with real money. And as I said before, I decided to increase the account size to $2,000 because that's more in line with the current PDT rule in the United States right now. To open up a margin account is a $2,000 account. So it'll be more entertaining, more relatable. And I've decided anyways that even if I lose a quarter back of that account size, then I would come back to the simulator if I start losing money. It's an amount I can afford to lose, so not really too worried about it. Of course, I hope that I thoroughly prepared myself to not lose money and start being profitable. But emotions can change between the simulator and real money, of course. So even if I were to trade this one as a penny, I don't really like how it dropped down with that high volume selling. The news isn't that great. Strategic review of alternatives to maximize shareholder value. I don't really know what that means. Kind of a fluff. Sounds like a fluff headline to me. Good morning, Spooky. Yeah, I hope so. There's literally nothing I'm interested in this morning. So we gotta get something with news, I hope. Yeah, everything's a penny, or it's too high priced, or it's too high float. Nothing within that sweet spot price range right now in the top 10 gappers. And this one's much too choppy for a penny. Definitely not touching this one. So we're just waiting. I'm curious what to see the S&P 500 does this week. We pop back strong after that ceasefire, but the ceasefire is going to end soon. And there doesn't seem to be any resolutions. Do we carry through because of AI, or do we come back down? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this breaks through the highs simply because there's nothing else moving here. And we're about to form a hammer on the 5-minute after a retest VWAP. A retest and a bear trap. So it's probably going to squeeze through 85 here. But it's a bit risky because we've been rejecting up here. Looks like this one would have worked from 80 to 85 here with this entry candle on the 1-minute. Could potentially go higher here too, since that candle, 5-minute candle closed green. I would have to trade like 1,000 shares of this. Well, it would be 500 because I'm going to start with quarter size. If I were to trade 500 shares of this to make 7 cents, I guess it's like 35 bucks. We'll see. We'll see what happens if I applied my theory of exit indicators here, how high this actually goes. Definitely take some profit at 87. Probably sell half. Maybe sell another half as it reaches $1. Entry would be like right here. Half sell. Something like that. This one would probably, well, let's see. This isn't an exit indicator yet. It is a bit higher volume selling, but this might even go all the way up to 1 still. Nope, that's too high volume selling, so I would have to sell at 90. But it's kind of expected that that would be the end of the move there at around 1. I'd probably take another half profit up there. Because 1 is usually a big resistance level, similar to how it's a big resistance level at like 10 and 20. So you probably could have gotten like 7 cents from 80 to 87. 10 cents, well, 17 cents to 97. And then as it comes back down, then you sell the rest for 94. $0.17, 7 cents, probably get 15 cents on average. Pretty good for a penny that you could buy like 500 shares quarter position, 1,000 shares half position, or well, actually looks like, yeah, no, about 2,000 shares full position, yeah. CMND popping up. It's only $1, but it has news. So if the news came out at 7:15, how did it, like, why did it pop up at 4 a.m.? That much volume? Is the news leaked or something? I don't know. Weird. Last news was April 15th. This would have been a retest of VWAP setup here. Bounced off it, failed to break back below. Buy for the entry candles here at 118 for the first candle to make a new high. Let's scalp 5 cents a share on it. And we've got a dragonfly forming on the 1 minute. Pretty powerful. It's 50 seconds left on that 2 minute and 5 minute close. Like I said, I'm just testing these penny stocks. If I end up losing or winning, it doesn't matter. Probably going to take them out by metrics. Pops up over 125 here. We're about to close on the 2 minute and the 5 minute, so we'll take an experiment position. Stop is like 123. Just going to get out because I see something else popping up on the scanners that's part of my actual strategy. In the price range. We have both ENVB and JTAI popping up here. Let's look at ENVB because it's a bit higher. I'll come back and look at that penny stock in a little bit to see how it would have turned out, but I'm not sure what the news is on this though. It dropped from 270 all the way down to 240. Closing with a topping tail here. 567. It's pretty strong. Hmm. I just have a problem with the fact that I don't see news. I don't know what the catalyst is. Like we're already almost at our top leading gainer here, up at 80%. We are a top leading gainer now. Hmm. I would like to wait for a proper 1 minute pullback here because we're a bit too extended. That move was very strong. It's good to see. But I don't see the news. Back here, we had a bigger pullback. So from that point forward, like I had difficulty trusting that it was going to continue this type of move. At any point here, it could have just reversed. Like in hindsight, wish I would have gotten in, but it pulled back, and then we had 1 pullback, 2 pullback, 3 pullback, 4 pullback. Here it pulled away, but perhaps the best entry was like this break of the daily level of 3. That's when it started to kind of pull away a bit more. But that, I mean, it's just hard to trust. So first 1 minute pullback, high of 370. 17 seconds left on that 1 minute candle. So this would be first 1 minute candle to make a new high. We don't have news, but since it's so strong, if it moves quickly, I might give it a shot here. Got some sellers coming out. So it was a one and done. This is why like I have difficulty trusting it, because you don't know at one point it's just not going to hold up anymore. If this was actually a strong stock, then it would probably pop through first 1 minute candle to make a new high. SPRC. I gotta change my Charts. There we go. So ENVB is coming back up. So this is a little bit of a bear trap setup. If it pops over 361. And SPRC is also moving at the same time. This is a bit of a hotter market in terms of behavior. We're having multiple stocks pop up simultaneously. But SPRC on the side chart here. I don't know what the catalyst on SPRC is either. I'll take a quick look at how CMND turned out back here. So it ended up coming back down. And the reason for this is probably because this isn't particularly strong. And since other news came out at the same time that this was popping up, people just sold off and swapped their attention. This happens regularly whenever you have stocks that have news. Sometimes if I see something within my price range that's has news and looks better, and the news is better, then I'll just immediately sell if I'm in a position, because sometimes you can expect this to happen. So I think I had the right idea on ENVB. Ross didn't take a single trade on it either. So he must have found it also. He must have also found it hard to trust. It's 7:30. Let's watch for news. DFLI, some news at 7:30. It's a bit higher float, 11 million. Secures a multi-million-dollar order. Contracts aren't bad. Problem is that it's both a cheaper price at $2 and a higher float. So this probably isn't going to move very quickly. It's going to be a super grinder, if I had to guess. And it's already got some topping tails forming. So we're still waiting for something that looks good, has an identifiable catalyst, and is moving quickly. So as I mentioned in my recap, I am transitioning the way I'm reading charts here. The high is 440. So we're a little bit extended here. And I'm still having difficulty trusting this. I suppose how quickly it was moving right here, probably a break of 4 would have worked. I took profit quickly up at 450. If I anticipated the break of 4, I'm just really I'm really trying to get dialed in on my accuracy here. And because we had this topping tail back here, sold off below VWAP. There's not really an entry candle here that fit my strategy. I'm trying to be a lot pickier. Maybe it's being a little bit too picky, but we'll see. So we're still kind of holding this 9 EMA here. If we continue creeping up, we might have a couple and handle through the break for 450. Once again, though, like if I'm trying to get dialed in on my accuracy, I don't know if I should take any trades on this at all. Like we got a double top. We have a bunch of topping tails here. It is feeling like a bit of a hotter market. So maybe it's time soon to transition to being able to trade stocks with no news. During a cold market, it would be my strategy is primarily news. Like I have to see a catalyst or it has to be a leading gainer. This is a leading gainer with no news. But it is also feeling like a little bit of a hotter market because we're having stuff pop up pretty significantly, even if they're dropping a little bit. But I think we're in that transition period right now. Still. People still aren't sure if it's hot or if it's cold. So we're still holding the 9 EMA here. The high of that candle is 26. We got 50 seconds left on the 5-minute candles. Ten seconds left. One's going to close with a topping tail. It does. If it comes back up and breaks 440, which is that pivot on the 10-second, I might get in for the anticipation of the breakthrough 450 at 445. Because we're still holding the 9 EMA on the 1 minute. And we still are kind of holding the 20 EMA on the 10 seconds, having trouble breaking down further. Holding $4. MACD is close to crossing over. We are negative now on MACD. we're forming something on, we're forming an entry candle in the 2 minute and the 1 minute. 1 minute left on that 5 minute candle. Is 406. We are negative on MACD though. It's a bit riskier to get in here if it pops up. We're double bottoming off of 380 a little bit, coming back up to 4. I don't see any news at 7:45. I've noticed with these bear trap setups that when they're on the backside like this, they usually work better after a double bottom for bear trap. So if it comes back up, breaks back over, and then comes back down, tests the same one more time, and then moves higher there. But we'll see what it does anyway. Still risky. Get in on something like this with no catalyst. It's up 100% now though. ARTL with news at 11:50. This is our big mover back from a month ago. 200 EMA is up at 10. We've got high volume selling on the 1 minute right now. Bit of a topping tail forming on the 2 minute. Just have a low float and it's in the right price range that I like to trade. It's a bit light volume right now as well. A big range. Just got volume coming in. Get in for the breakthrough 6. Break 6. Set a profit target. Whoops. Uh-oh. No. Get back out. Okay, so that was a keybind failure. So I had to get out. That was really bad. I changed my keybinds from profit target 2 to shift 2. So I pressed 2 and it clicked, because I was still clicked up here, it failed. That was really bad. That could have been 50 cents a profit on my first trade. And I panicked and got out. That is embarrassing. So my profit target keybinds are shift 2 now, not 2, because the reason why I had to change that is because when I went in and looked in trade 0, they don't allow you to set keybinds without a modifier like shift. So that's why I changed that, because it's precisely what I want to avoid when I'm trading with real money is a keybind failure. So we're doing this now in the sim because I anticipated something like this to happen. So shift for those keybinds. Okay. I still got 10 cents on it. That's not nothing. It's something. It's not 50 cents. Oh man, it sucks. The first 1 minute candle to make a new high is 626, but we are double bottoming right now, closed below. $10 left on this bear trap here on the 2 minute and kind of the 1 minute. So high of 626. Some sellers popping out still. So we've got this flat top at 6 right now. Breaks through there. Moving very quickly. We get in for the breakthrough 6 or 650. So we're rejecting, so I'm just gonna get out and wait for the break. So we broke there, but a big seller popped up. Give it a second here because we got 10 seconds left on that candle. No, I have to get back out. Okay, so not a good start to the day here. We're down 30 bucks already. Trying to anticipate that break, but it's not working so well. So there it breaks. Goes all the way up to 7. I'm going to buy for the breakthrough 7. We break 7, I'll add. But we reject. Let's see, we're still holding the 9 EMA. I come back up to 7 here. First candle to make a new high in 10 seconds. Breakthrough 7. High is 716. Breakthrough 716. We do. So I expect we go up to 750. We take a little bit of profit because we're stalling out here. High 742. I'm going to scale out a bit more. We're having some topping tails. Add back if we break 750. Break 750, add back, looking for the squeeze up to, I did it again. Squeeze up to 8. Scale out a little bit more here. High is 775. So we're coming back down. I'm just going to take the rest off and wait for a proper pullback. I apologize. I'm like out of it just because I changed a single keybind. Or well, it's 5 keybinds. This is my profit target keybinds, but a little bit not in my mojo right now. So this was a good opportunity, but I completely flubbed it up. But this is exactly why we're doing this right now in the simulator, and instead of when I go live with real money. Okay, so time to focus. Time to focus. JTAI popping up. This is definitely hotter market behavior here. I'm recognizing right now that because of my, I guess I have a little bit of FOMO in ARTL right now because I messed up my key bindings and my entries so badly that it's like it's telling me to jump into JTAI right now, even though it's a catalyst with no news, but it is moving quickly up 60%. But the daily on it doesn't look very nice. FRSX with news. Israeli company. Non-binding term sheet for 17.5 million strategic investment. Well, maybe I'm brave just because I'm in the simulator. But yeah, I'm trying to treat this as like it's real money. And I'm feeling the emotions right now too, like it's real money, because I don't want to mess up my statistics, like my metrics. Because it's going to make it difficult for me to go live with real money if I'm not profitable. But yeah, I mean, I saw potential in ARTL. ARTL was a big mover in the past, like last month back here. Although it did sell off and come all the way back down. It does have news, and it is the price range that I like. It's low float. So I thought that it would be it would have opportunities, and it did have opportunities, but I'm trying to anticipate the breakouts, and I messed up twice, and then up here I flubbed up my keybinds. So now I'm sad. Ugh. But yeah, I did think it would have some opportunities on it. Yeah, it is a little bit scary in terms of the volume profile. You're right. The high volume selling. Yeah, you're not wrong. Like right here, actually, on the 1 minute, right here is technically kind of like an entry candle with even like it's got lower volume buying than selling, but it would have worked right there from 716 up to 770. But normally speaking, it's kind of like, yeah, it is risky. Down here, when this candle broke through, it was also difficult to even find the proper entry because it kept rejecting off of it, which is why I end up losing on it. So you're not wrong. Like I'm down on it right now, even though like probably would have been profitable on this if it didn't mess up my keybinds. But it could just be a stock to stay away from too. I think Ross ended up getting in it. Hmm. Yeah, you're definitely not wrong. You're not wrong though. Yeah, everybody wishes that we could find a way to guarantee it, but if I find the cure all strategy, would I bring it to the public? I feel like anyone who finds a strategy that just like works 100% of the time, they just wouldn't come out with it in public because then it would get ruined. All right, so I have to go back to the Zen zone because now I have FOMO. I'm feeling that like want another trade now because I don't like it's that perfectionist personality in me coming out. I don't like that I made a mistake and I want to fix it. But it's too late now. Now I have to sit around and wait for something that pops up again. Yeah, and he does like being a teacher for sure. I think that's part of it, but yeah, it definitely helps him if there's more people trading his strategy because there's going to be more volume at the times that he's getting in. So it's got that compounding sort of effect. I agree. I will be honest, I do wonder at times um, how much being on stream with like 1,000 or 2,000 viewers that are trying to copy his entries fluffs up his metrics. I do wonder that. It's probably not as significant as some people think it is. And I mean, this it's not the reason I'm streaming either. Like, um, I don't think that streaming gives you like too much of an inherent advantage, but I do wonder how much extra volume he gets in on certain setups just from people like trying to buy off him. If there's I don't know how many viewers he gets, but if it's like 100 people and they buy like even if they buy like 100 shares each, it's like 10,000 shares of volume. That's not nothing, but I don't know. I think he values being a teacher more than he values anything that he could gain from streaming to a mass audience. I think he's talked about it before. He said that he doesn't like he has a paywall because it keeps people who shouldn't be there out. Like if there's a paywall, there's more people in his chat that are serious and willing to learn, and um, they have the ability to financially support themselves. Like they're not in a dire situation and they're gonna get into the market and gamble their money away trying to copy him. So I do, yeah, I understand why he has a paywall for sure. DTX popping up here. So predictive value of Ignite or PPA platform. Uh, Interesting. I think it depends on the volume of the stock. So if the volume on our particular stock is like 3 million shares already. Like, it's just super thickly traded. Probably doesn't matter at all. But I have noticed occasionally some entries that he gets in that I'm kind of like, this doesn't really make any sense, and it still works, and he still gets like 10 cents of profit on it. And I think in those cases where it's lighter volume and maybe it's not as obvious to other traders, if there's just like 100 people trading with 100 shares or like 1,000 people trading with 100 shares, you can get a few cents of profit on it and get out. And it does fluff him up a little bit, but I think that for the majority of stocks that have a significant volume that he actually does really well on and he makes hundreds of thousands of dollars on, the majority of his profit comes from his own ability. Like his ability to be aggressive when the stock is moving quickly. Like his viewers don't influence that at all. But it does influence occasionally, like on during cold markets when he gets into something that's maybe not so good. ERTL popping back up. Well, what's funny too is that because he's trading, like sometimes he takes 50,000 share entries. You look at his entries and you wonder like, wow, that pop was like precise timing. But you know what he does is because he's trading with a larger share size and he waits until the 10-second candle close, he puts in his order as soon as the candle closes so that price spikes up and it causes FOMO and other buyers to jump in because they see that candle, that 10-second candle spike as soon as it's open. The next one is open. And that might also be inflated a little bit by his viewers that also jump in after he does. So it can kind of cause a bit of an artificial spike in a certain way. But because the stock is already strong and people are already optimistic on it and they're the right type of stocks that he mentions all the time in his stock selection, it's kind of a catalyst of its own, it feels like sometimes. Even if he wasn't there, would it probably spike without him anyways? Sure, it probably would. And he would probably be able to get an entry on it. And I mean, it's proven with other people trading strategy too, right? Even if they're trading with smaller share size. But I think trading with bigger share size and trading with viewership uh, can fluff up your statistics a little bit. But like I said, the majority of his profits are when he gets really aggressive when stocks are going parabolic. His viewers can't. His share size and his viewers at that point they don't do anything. Yeah, and that's what it is. The pressure points in the market. That's a good way of putting it. But he's traded. I mean, he's traded with small accounts, right? He's done a small account challenges too, and he's proved that he can do small account challenges and get them up very quickly during a hot market. He's proved that as well. But I think that he has a special edge when it comes to trading with bigger size, and in a different regard too. The whales, do you mean people that trade with like gigantic size? I'm not sure what you mean by whales. Oh yeah, the market makers. Yeah, for sure. We're kind of curling back up here. MACD is going positive. Market's a bit hotter, so a curling pattern might work. Yeah, maybe that's something for me to look into in the future. I don't know how the market makers really work that well. I know that there's a lot of algorithmic trading and all that. And there's, those algo spikes when fresh news comes out. And I know that in the large cap space, algorithms and market makers are usually a lot more present. Like you're basically battling the computers in large caps. But maybe that's something for me to look into for small caps specifically, how involved market makers are. I'm not sure. You make a good point though. So we're coming back up here. 775 is our high of day. One minute left on that 5 minute candle. So we break 50. Coming back up to previous high. We reject off it. I'm gonna have to go back in my VODs and look at like when the best timing is to get an entry to anticipate the break. Because here, like I was thinking about it, but I think we're overextended, so it's likely to reject off it. But in the past Friday, I think when it came up to this level, and even I think both Thursday and Friday when it curled like this, it just broke straight through. Even though it did have a pullback after it broke through. But this time it just rejected. And these previous entries back here, like it looked like it was going to break through because we had a green bodied candle close. But it still ended up rejecting once anyways. Maybe it's just a stock. I don't know. It's choppy today. Like look at all these topping tails. Topping tails, high volume selling. This is probably just a stock that you have to wait for the breakout. There are some stocks, I guess, that you have to anticipate because it's strong, and some stocks that are just choppy and you don't trade it until it actually does break out and holds. So I think that's the mindset I'm going to try and take. Thirty 8:30. So I'm watching for 8:30 news right now. Yeah, I talked about that yesterday during my rambling session on stream on Sunday. It's like I feel like my green days could be so much better. They've all been like small, and I've been fighting for control of my daily goal so that I can size up. But if I wait for the hold on every single, like the break and hold on every single stock, sometimes I just get in too high. Sometimes it breaks and it goes up 20 cents and you get in 20 cents too high. And at that point, you're 20 cents away from support. And if it reverses, then that could be a loser. Or if it doesn't reverse, then you already missed like 30 cents of the move. So right now I'm trying to find that sweet spot, when to get in for the break and when to just wait for it. I don't really know yet because I've always just kind of waited for it since back when I first started trading. Uh, if I got in for the break, like I used to get in for the break because I see Ross doing it like quite consistently actually. So I thought, okay, well, I can do it too. And I tried it. And a lot of the times when I tried it, I ended up getting in and then it just rejects down like 30 cents. And that was really, really bad for me because back when I had a holding and hoping habit, like much worse than what I have right now, sometimes it would cause me to go like down $1 a share on the stock. I would just hold it for $1 a share, and I'm like, I can't do this. Let's just not get in for breaks because it fuels my fear of loss, right? That perfectionism. Because I'm down 30 cents instantly, it's like I don't want to cut this because now I'm just like super red on the day. It's like it's gonna come back up, right? And it just never does. And to be honest, back here, I think when I got in for 647 the first time, there was a little bit of that creeping in again, that old habit. I should have just cut it immediately, but I waited and it ended up being a almost a 30-cent loser. Here again, 651 down to 618. It's still there. I need to get rid of it. That's the only reason why I'm down $18. In fact, because I did get in the third time at 7 and it took some profit at 722, 715. I did buy back a little bit at 760, but this trade here, I think overall was a profitable trade. Back here is where the majority of my losses are on 75 shares. Yeah, Like if I were to go back here, so it's about right there. Maybe the better entry here have been like, I don't know, buying closer to support. Maybe I don't buy the break unless it's close to support. Maybe that's the way to look at it. Our AKTX. What is this? Oh, okay, I see what you mean. It's up 40 cents. Is a biotech stock. Popped up to 9, came all the way back down to 7 or 8. I mean, at light volume right now, 30,000 shares of volume. I have 9. 200 is all the way up at 22. Positive preclinical data. So this is a good headline, up 40%. At high volume selling there. So AKTX needs to come back up to 9. But it is the sweet spot. It's got a very low float. It's got a nice price, a good price range. It's got a good catalyst. It just needs to come back up. It needs to crawl back up here. ARTL is kind of over now after that double top at 750. So the NVB is curling up a little bit, but yeah. Speaking of level 2, I kind of know what you mean. Back when I first started trading, I didn't take as much stock into the level 2. I thought, well, if you can just read chart patterns and you can just use the chart, like why do you need level 2? Other than the fact that you can see like if there's a big seller sitting on the ask or something. But the more that I use it, the more I realize just how important it is. It is like what Ross has said. The level 2 is like looking at the road, and the chart is like looking in the rear view mirrors when you're driving. The chart just isn't fast enough. Like it doesn't pick up on what you can see in level 2. Yeah, exactly. Now, now when I'm in most of these high day squeeze or breaking news trades, I'm mostly staring at the ask and like glancing at the chart. Before, when I was trading, when I was new, I was like looking at the chart and glancing at the level 2. So it was the opposite. But it's still a little bit difficult for me to like pinpoint support using level 2. Like if I see it, like for example, if I see it hovering around 75, I'll be like, okay, well, it looks like it has some support around 75. Hovering around 50, then yeah, like $half and whole dollars for sure. But if it's like hovering around like 80 or something, I'll kind of be like, yeah, hard to see sometimes. Have you gone through like different phases of like figuring out certain things? What's the word? Like the panacea, I feel like is what I would call it. Trying to figure out what the panacea is of trading. Like, oh well, I missed this thing before. Now I focus on this. Oh well, I missed this before. Now I focus on this. The longer that I trade, the more experience I get, the more I feel like I'm comprehensively incorporating everything I learned and using it all at once. But at the beginning, it was like, okay, I just got to get good at reading charts. Get good at reading charts. So for the longest time, my first phase was just like absorbing everything from Ross and like learning how to read charts. And then once I felt like I had a pretty good reading of charts and I still wasn't doing well, then I was kind of like, well, what next? Like what am I what's wrong now? Got to figure out the next thing. Okay, am I not using enough indicators? All right, let's try some indicators out. Okay, try some different indicators. Still not successful. So my indicator phase is over. And now I understand what the indicators do, but I'm back to removing a lot of them and back to using the ones that Ross does because they're the ones that work the best. Okay, still not profitable. What next? What's next on the list? Reading the time and sales, green on the tape. Okay, now we're just buying green on the tape. I would go through these phases. They seem so silly now that I look back at it. It's just like buying green on the tape only. Like, okay, like I have the chart there and I understand the chart, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna get an entry right when there's buying. So it's kind of like getting used to the different things, and like in different phases, kind of expecting that this will be the next big thing that's going to push me past that point of profitability. And eventually, after you do so many things, you're still not profitable, and that's kind of the way it shifts from like now I feel like I know the majority of things I'm supposed to know. Now it's just like, all right, now it's discipline. Now I got to figure out what's you know, I got to make sure that I'm holding my winners longer, cutting my losers, and setting rules for myself. Yeah, I had that phase too. The daily levels, gaps and windows, horizontal resistance, ascending resistance, bull flags, like doing the bull flag thing, ascending support. I had that phase too. Yeah, and you look at the chart and it's just like, where do I enter? There's resistance levels everywhere. It looks like this one's not pulling away, unfortunately. ARTL, nope. ENVB has been curling back up, but it's grinding. 5450. Still our leading gainer, up 126%. Super thickly traded, stacked on the bid and the ask. So it looks like we're coming up to the support or the resistance level here. We break through for a second there, come back down. But we're feels like we're a bit extended because we've got so many green candles in a row here. This is the stock that doesn't have news. Yeah, the hot market, cold market thing was another one of my phases. I made an entire Excel sheet trying to plan my strategy around like what I should do in a hot market and a cold market. That's how I eventually came up with like the two different strategies. One removing some setups and the other one adding some setups and loosening my requirements for stock selection. I was actually profitable for a short period of time there in the hot market back in, I don't know when it was. I think it was January, late January, where I was profitable, and I was like, wow, I have like 70% accuracy, and like a decent profit to loss ratio. It was like a 1-to-1 or something profit to loss ratio. But then once it became cold, then I started losing again, and that turned around. We're breaking through there. But this is kind of too grindy to get in. Don't really like how grindy it is. It breaks through and it only goes up 14 cents. Hmm. 5 seconds left on that 1 minute candle, and we're closing into a gravestone. We got 7 minutes to 9 a.m. Even though I'm red right now, it's a small red, but I'm not feeling too bad about it because I know the reason why. So as long as I remember that my key bindings shift 1, then I would be green today because I would have gotten 50 cents on this first trade instead of 10 cents. And I would have gotten probably 50 cents on this other trade here instead of just kind of not making. I mean, I scaled out a bit too early. Even though I had 2 losers where I was holding and hoping, these 2 weren't very good, but this is something that I can fix really quickly. I'm not feeling too bad about today, even though I missed a lot on ARTL. Yeah, that's kind of the way I felt too. I would use a simulator. I would be green for like a month. I mean, it's kind of similar to what I'm doing right now on live stream, to be honest. I've been using the simulator for a month and I'm theoretically profitable right now. But that was during, this time is different because this time is during, like, I was profitable during a cold market. So during a hot market, I should really be theoretically profitable. I hope so at least. But yeah, I would be in the simulator during, like, I would switch halfway through it being cold because I was losing money during the cold market. And so I would start in the simulator like just as the cold market is ending, maybe like a week or two, and then it heats up again. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing well again, like in the simulator. Trade for another few weeks in the simulator and profitable. All right, time to go back to real money. And it cools off. And then you miss that 1 month window. Like back in January, I think it was hot for like 2 or 3 weeks where we had some really big stocks pop up. And then it just went back to cold. And then we've been cold for like the past 2 months almost. Other than the occasional days where we had a big mover, it's mostly been a cold market since February, I think. But what I'm finding right now, and what I've been including, or what I included in my description, why I think that I haven't been profitable is because of those bad habits. Like switching from that reward oriented mindset to more of a risk oriented mindset, like after learning everything and focusing more on profit to loss, like stock selection and then profit to loss ratio instead of accuracy, because it's maybe a little bit of a controversial opinion actually, because Ross says that he thinks that accuracy is more important than profit to loss ratio, because if you have a high accuracy, then your profit to loss ratio naturally goes up as a result. It's kind of his argument. But I think he means more like stock selection. Like stock selection is more important. Accuracy is usually a byproduct of like a few different things. It's like stock selection, your entry point, and like how much you're willing to let the stock move, like your stops and your profit targets. Like accuracy, it's, if you get in like on this stock at 450 for example, and you regularly take like 5 or 10 cent profits, but you let the stocks move to the downside like 40 or 50 cents, you have a negative profit to loss ratio, but you probably have very high accuracy if you're trading the right stocks. So I think accuracy sometimes can create an illusion of like doing well, even if you have bad habits. If your entries aren't precise, or if you're holding and hoping and sometimes the stock comes back up, high accuracy can be a little bit of an illusion. Like, oh, I have 70% accuracy, but really, like, your profit loss ratio is bad. Maybe you're over trading too much. And even though you have a high accuracy, like, there's some setups that you probably shouldn't have just gotten into. Because if you had gotten in it with a tighter stop, you probably would have just lost on it if your entries weren't right and the stock is maybe not very good. What I'm finding now is I'm switching to like stock selection and then profit to loss ratio, stock and setup selection, and profit to loss ratio, keeping my stops tight. It's like I have to be more precise with my entries now or I'm going to get stopped out. And even though have been having like this 50% accuracy, profit to loss ratio has kind of been carrying me through it a little bit here in this cold market. Yeah, the false breakouts is and is probably still the most difficult thing for me too. Like the two earlier today were false breakouts that I had to just bail on. Yeah, and it's heating up right now. So yeah, during a cold market even it's tough. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because that might seem obvious, but to some people it's not so obvious for some reason. Like I've been popping into a few different streamers that are doing Momo trading, just to see what they're doing and get some ideas and just hang out and stuff. And it's kind of surprising. Like some of them use strategies that don't really take that into account at all. WLDS, does this have news? Can't see if there's news on it. Yeah, it does. Collaboration with Meta Bounds. Okay, so it's a bit cheaper. $2 stock, so quarter position. $75, still 75. That's 125 shares. Hmm. Breakthrough 3 there. The day trade. Sorry, I'll continue with my thought in a minute here about the streamers. But day trade dash scanner is a little bit weird sometimes, and I'm not showing news on the stock quote where there is actually news on the stock that pops up in the news desk. Right there, I could have probably anticipated the break. I felt like we're overextended. $30,000 share seller coming out. Maybe I'm still in too much of a cold market mindset. Maybe it's time to start jumping into some of these a little bit sooner. Might be time to make that transition. This is definitely a hot market now. Yeah, I popped into Candyman's. Well, actually, I popped into both of them. Um, Candyman in particular, though, is a good example. He kind of he doesn't really look at downside risk that much. Like I haven't seen his metrics or anything, so it's hard for me to say exactly how viable his strategy is, but he talks about how discipline is his biggest limiting factor, and he feels like his strategy is, if not for his discipline, it would work. But I'm not so sure about that because his downside risk seems to be unlimited. Like I don't see him consistently setting stops or anything like that. So maybe like I think that he's a case where he has high accuracy because he lets his trades run on so long, But when he has losers, his losers are huge. So he would be kind of a good example of like how having high accuracy can be a little bit of an illusion of having a successful trading strategy. Since he might feel like he's right most of the time. Like some people kind of separate things into right and wrong, right? Especially when they're super emotionally invested. When they're right in a trade, it's like, all right, you know, I saw the trade, I did everything right. I kind of don't think about like if the trade went the wrong way, how it could have been really bad. Like if you let the stock go down 50 cents and then it goes up and then you take a winner on it, that adds to your accuracy, but it's an inverted profit to loss ratio, like going down 50 cents, but maybe you only take 20, 30 cents of profit on it. Yeah, I haven't seen enough of Candyman to like know for sure whether or not his strategy is this doesn't work because of his discipline, or if it doesn't work because of the fact that he doesn't have rules and he doesn't have stop loss. Like he kind of cuts it whenever he wants to cut it, feels like. I've watched DJ too. DJ seems like he seems like a good trader. He just trades a bit too frequently for how I like to trade. Like he's a super scalper. I've kind of used this analogy in gaming. Like I've been a big gamer for many years, but uh like in League of Legends or Overwatch or another good example. I can't think of other good examples right now, but there are some characters that well actually World of Warcraft is probably the best example of this. There are some characters in those games that they do more with less. So like they might have less abilities or rotations are simpler. They they don't like they do more damage even though they have less buttons, right? There's less of an effort but more reward. So even some characters like Discipline Priest back even a few years ago, back before it got reworked, you would do the same amount of healing, but you're like sweating to play the character. Like every second is a sweat fest. And usually in competitive scenes, the characters that can do more with less are better. And that's kind of how I feel about momentum trading, is that I feel like high frequency scalping is definitely it's a viable, profitable way to make profits, but it's not something that I prefer. And I feel like you can do more, like you can get more profits doing less, just focusing on the right setups rather than scalping like everything. Unless you're a high frequency algorithm scalper. But yeah, Marvel Rivals. I prefer Ross's style of trading, where you wait for the right stock and the right setup, and you just get 50 cents of share on a big squeeze. DJ is like in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. It's like, oh my god, how do you have the energy to do that all day? Kind of crazy. And then by the end of the day, he's like, I'm up $300, even though he had like 500 trades. It just doesn't feel like the effort is worth the reward. He has had like some $2,000, $3,000 green days, but I think he's even trading with the same size that Ross trades almost. I think last I looked at his stream, he was trading with like 5,000 share positions or something. Like a $10,000 account buying power account, like that's his account value, or does he trade with 10,000 shares? I thought last I looked, he was trading with like, well, maybe I was looking at him when he was trading a penny stock. I don't remember, but he was trading with like 2,000, 3,000 share blocks. Oh, okay, yeah. If he uses leverage too, that would make sense. One thing I wish though, and this is also part of the reason why I'm streaming right now. I wish there were more content creators out there that are trustworthy in the trading scene that can give education, and not just with Momo strategy in particular, like large cap trading, short selling, like all of the strategies. I wish there were more people out there that are trustworthy in terms of information. It's so hard to trust people these days, and there's quite a few that I've seen that pop up that do videos and stuff that they're trading with like $1 million account sizes, like $5 million. Like, is that real? So when I was looking for like what strategy suits me, it was very difficult to find. SDST does have news. Does. Here's institutional investment framework. High of 4. 6 million share float. Yeah, it's difficult to find who's trustworthy. And there's even people out there that point fingers at Ross and say that he's a guru, like he's not trustworthy. He got sued by the SEC or something. I don't remember which institution it was, but apparently he at one point he had to pay a settlement to the courts because he's not trustworthy or whatever. And he probably just had to pay a settlement because some people took action against him and he didn't have enough disclaimers saying that his results aren't typical. That's why you literally see that everywhere now on his, like all of his videos. He has to make that disclaimer and everyone has to make that disclaimer. So initially when I found Ross, I was I was skeptical because there were some people out there, like I was researching, who is trustworthy and trying to figure out who can I learn from that is trustworthy. And so I did end up taking the 2 week trial with Ross because he seemed legit and followed his trades and whatnot and figured out, yeah, no, he's legit. But there's a lot of people out there who are trying to give out information that they're not transparent. Like they don't share everything that they do. Yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned earlier, that's part of why he has a paywall because he doesn't want those people who are dumb to come in and just throw their money away and blame him. Um, but he's transparent. Like he has his audited broker statements and stuff. He streams like literally every day on his platform. So I respect that. Same with like Candyman. Candyman, even though he's like struggling right now and with discipline and all that, he's there streaming every day, sharing all of his trades, streaming it live, showing his P&L. Like I respect that. I respect people who can be fully transparent about it. So you know that they're in on the journey with you. But I don't know. There's a couple of them that I've noticed. I mean, TJT trades, I think, is one of them that he's not transparent. He trades with like $1 million sizes. Like who knows if he's legit or not. There's a couple of other ones. I saw a while back there was some people was making a video about doing they were like, I've never traded before, but let's trade with the world's best scalper, and the guy literally didn't know anything. I guess CST isn't really holding up. ELDS coming back up a little bit. Yeah, exactly. It's nice having people to trade with and kind of take experience from. As long as you know that they're not like inflating their results artificially to try and make it seem like they're better than they actually are. Just trying to make a quick buck on YouTube or something. The communities are nice. That's what I kind of like about Ross's chat is that he verifies the people who are profitable too. But like I said, I wish there were more people that would just in different strategies that kind of share stream their trading process and whatnot. And so that if they do make videos, then we kind of know that they're trustworthy and that they're not just like deleting their trades on TraderView, like the bad trades, or they're not trading in a fake account. Or getting someone to trade for them. I've heard that there's even some people out there that were getting people to trade for them and then coming on YouTube and being like, look at my profitability today. And it's like, well, you didn't do that yourself. I also tried to learn from like there's some YouTube channels that are like, what do you call them? Um, like those big corporations that hire traders to like come in and work 9 to 4, like the trading regular market hours at their trading station or whatever. Not hedge funds, but like I forget what they're called. Like on YouTube, one of them was SBM Capital I tried learning from, and they did have some concepts that you can apply. But those kind of firms are like it's difficult to apply their strategies because they use a lot of software that takes away a lot of the individual decision making from the trader itself. They have their own software and stuff that has their own pings, tells you when to enter a trade. So it's difficult to relate to some of the big firms. And those firms are also like they're not using their own capital either. Like it's difficult for retail traders to even follow some of the stuff they do because they swap between long biased and short. Like they do both long and short, but they're trading large caps. So they have their own algorithms that tell them what like trades they should get into, and then they're kind of holding for the move because they're using algorithms to determine whether or not the trade is going to be successful or not. And can't really. I mean, I don't really even want to touch shorting. Yeah, he's the only one that I've seen that he trades every day on stream. He regularly makes content to explain his strategy, and kind of shares his strategy with everyone else, and also has audited statements. Like he's the only one that has those three things that I found. If you know of any others, please tell me because I have not found them. I would like to. I've heard of so many like famous trading gurus, like they've made $1 million. Like there's some famous people who have made books on trading, but at the end of the day, like I don't, you know, I don't know who to trust. So we're coming up to 9:30 here. It's already 9:25. Kind of just been chilling around talking today here with you after that mishap on ARTL. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to recover this $16 loss. I'm not bummed about it though. It sucks, but I knew that this was going to happen when I changed my keybinds. The thing that I have to pay attention to today though, other than the fact that I got to make sure that I change my muscle memory, is back here at 7:59. The first two trades on ARTL where I got in for the break, but it didn't break. So I still have to figure out how to anticipate the break. And I held kind of held and hoped here, kind of that old habit, getting in for the break. It doesn't break, I don't get out right away. If I got rid of these two trades, I would be profitable today. So even with the mishaps. But I think my strategy says if I don't have a cushion on the day, then I don't trade the open. That's what I changed my strategy to say. If I have a cushion, I'll trade the open, but if I don't, then I'm just going to leave it at this. Small red day. Yeah, I know I'm in trading. I'm in trading has a video about how Ross is a scammer. That's why it kind of made me like a bit reluctant to trust his information. So I know what you mean by witch hunter. It's fine to be skeptical of people, and be skeptical of Ross because he has that sort of lawsuit in the past. But I feel like if he were to really investigate Ross, he would probably delete that video. So I don't know just how reliable his information is. He was actually the one that made me skeptical of Ross in the first place because I was looking for people and I found him. And so I was very, very skeptical going into figuring out whether or not Ross was legit. But after the trial, I was like, yeah, no, he seems like this is all real. So at that point forward, after I kind of confirmed with my own eyes that like, yes, this is a strategy that probably works, I was kind of hesitant to trust anything else that Iman said. That could be. That could be. I don't really like the rage bait business model though. It prioritizes clicks and views over the truth. A very good parallel is fitness videos. In the past couple of years, I've learned a lot about fitness because I've been trying to lose weight and stuff in between. I've been very busy recently, so I haven't been doing it consistently. But back last year, the beginning of last year, I had before I even started trading, I went on like a learning exercise and weightlifting and the whole hypertrophy scene. And there's a lot of those hypertrophy gurus out there that are kind of similar to trading, where they act like they're science based, but they're not. A lot of them are just kind of rage baits, clicks and views, and their stuff is like it's either it's half truths, so you get led astray in some areas. Some of them are worse than others, but some of them do have some good content, and then the other half of their content is rage bait, like don't do hammer curls. It's like, well, hammer curls are specifically for training your bracts. Like that's their entire purpose. It's not that they're bad, but they'll make like rage bait videos like that, even though hammer curls have been apparently around for a long time since the golden era. It's been like one of those basic exercises that target a specific muscle. But they'll make rage bait videos just to get clicks and views. I don't like that business model. I'd rather people just be truthful. But yeah, no, I guess I'm done taking trades for the day since I'm red at the open. My my strategy now says no cushion, no trades at the open. Like if I traded an ENVB right now, probably could recoup this loss, but it's better than making a mistake and going $50 in the red max loss. This is very easily recoverable tomorrow since we're in a hot market now. As long as I don't make mistakes, flubbing up my keybinds and get into the right setups, then I should very easily be able to make this back this week. So that's probably going to be it for me. No more trades. $18 loss. This win on CMED doesn't count. It was just an experiment. So I'm taking that out of my metrics, as I mentioned previously. It was just an $18 loss today. I mentioned that I'm trading with a $2,000 theoretical account size now, so this loss is actually very small, relatively speaking. For my past 4 months of trading, this would have been like almost halfway to my max loss, but I don't have the difference is now I'm doing scaling. So as long as I scale into the trades that are working very well, this shouldn't be a big loss at all. And it'll be very snowbally once if I make a 20-cent winner on the day with 75 shares, and I can scale up to full position like Ross does, and hopefully kind of snowball my wins on days that are working. But right now, since the day wasn't working, since I'm still flubbing up my keybinds, and that's why I don't size up. Like if I had sized up on this trade here at 7 and I didn't flub it up, like I probably could have made a significant amount today, but still trading with quarter size until I get a hang of what's going on. But I think I'm going to end here. Thanks for chatting with me, Spooky. It's always entertaining when you show up. I like having people to talk to. Yeah, and that's why I'm not too bothered about it. That's just something that comes with enough button pressing. But I'm off for now. Take care. Yeah, have a good day. I'll see you later.